New York City, the Empire State. Broadway marquees blazing through the night, yellow taxis streaming down Fifth Avenue. Luxury hotels where doormen in white gloves welcome visitors from around the world. This is America's most iconic destination. 40 million tourists visit each year, filling hotel rooms from Manhattan to the Adirondacks. But beneath the glitter of the city that never sleeps, something else waits. These are not urban legends passed down through generations of bellhops. These are documented accounts from staff, guests, and paranormal investigators, spanning over 120 years. From Manhattan penthouses to Finger Lakes castles to Adirondack mountain resorts, the Empire State holds secrets that no tourism board will ever print in a brochure. These are the 15 creepiest hotels in New York. Number 15. We begin in the small town of Broad Albin, about 40 miles northwest of Albany. The historic Hotel Broad Albin looks charming enough today. Exposed brick walls, a cozy pub on the ground floor, comfortable rooms for weary travelers. But this building was not always a place of rest. In the 19th century, it operated as the Keeley Cure Inebriate Hospital. This was where families sent their troubled relatives to be cured of alcoholism through methods we would now consider barbaric. Patients were subjected to experimental procedures. Many never recovered. Some never left. Today, visitors report encounters with ghostly figures drifting through the hallways. Staff working late in the 1854 pub and eatery speak of glasses sliding across tables, lamps toppling over when no one stands nearby, cold spots that appear and vanish without explanation. The tortured souls of its dark history, it seems, have taken up permanent residence. Number 14. In the heart of Greenwich Village stands a building that most students walk past without a second thought. The NYU Brittany Residence Hall houses hundreds of university students each year. Few of them know they share their dormitory with a child who has been waiting to play for over a century. Before it became student housing, this was the Brittany Hotel. And within these walls, a young girl named Molly met a terrible end. She was playing with her dolls in the hallway when she accidentally fell down an elevator shaft. Her remains were never recovered. Her spirit was never put to rest. Today, Molly still wanders the floors, desperate for attention. Students report lights switching on and off in empty rooms. Bathroom mirrors wiped clean of shower steam by invisible hands. Music boxes play in the middle of the night when no music box exists. She is not malevolent. She simply wants someone to notice her, someone to play with her. After all these years, she is still waiting. Number 13. In the western reaches of New York State, where the Genesee River has carved what locals call the Grand Canyon of the East, stands a modest inn that has welcomed travelers since 1870. The Genesee Falls Inn sits near Letchworth State Park, surrounded by forests and waterfalls and seemingly untouched wilderness. But something else inhabits this peaceful setting. Guests report footsteps echoing down empty hallways. Doors shut on their own in rooms where no one sleeps. Personal belongings vanish from nightstands only to reappear in completely different locations hours later. Paranormal investigation teams have documented unusual activity here. Flashlights placed on tables turn on and off as if responding to questions. Electronic equipment registers sudden spikes in energy. Whatever resides within the Genesee Falls Inn seems to acknowledge those who come looking for answers. Number 12. The Hotel Utica opened in 1912 as one of the first luxury hotels between New York City and Buffalo. Presidents Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt stayed here. Amelia Earhart was celebrated at a grand dinner in the dining hall. Judy Garland's voice rang out from the mezzanine during the hotel's golden years. But the grandeur has faded, and something else has moved in. Front desk staff have grown accustomed to receiving phone calls from empty rooms. When they answer, they hear nothing but static. When they call back, someone or something picks up on the other end, but only static responds. Chandeliers in the lobby switch off without explanation. Kitchen staff arriving for early morning shifts find dishes moved across counters in rooms that were locked all night. Guests on the upper floors report seeing an elderly woman dressed in old housekeeping clothes wandering the corridors in the small hours of the morning. Room 410 is considered the most active. Staff have found showers running in this fourth-floor room after receiving calls from it. The room was completely unoccupied, at least by anyone living. Number 11. Deep in the Adirondack Mountains, the Hotel Saranac has welcomed guests since the 1920s. It was built on the grounds of a former high school, and its elegant halls still echo with voices that should have fallen silent decades ago. In 2023, USA Today ranked this the third most haunted hotel in America. The designation was well earned. Every floor holds its own spirits. On the second floor near the ballroom, guests encountered the specter of Francis Peroni, who taught here when the building served as a college facility. On the third floor, the scratching of a ghost cat can be heard outside room doors. A young girl has been spotted on the fourth floor, appearing and vanishing within seconds. On the sixth floor, guests hear singing, drifting through the walls. Beautiful melancholic voices performing for audiences that no longer exist. The spirit of Howard Littell, the former school superintendent, still roams the property. Staff have learned to work around him. He has been here longer than any of them. Number 10. The Naples Hotel in the Finger Lakes region has been welcoming travelers since 1818. Originally known as Lion Tavern, it has served guests for over 200 years. Many of those guests decided to stay permanently. At least 6 distinct spirits inhabit this property. A woman and her phantom children have been seen drifting through the upper floors. A Civil War soldier still patrols the corridors in uniform. A mischievous entity known only as Topper makes his presence known through unexplained sounds and movements. Televisions switch on and off without anyone touching the remote. Lights flicker in patterns that seem almost deliberate. Whispered conversations drift from empty rooms. The Sci-Fi Channel featured this hotel on Ghost Hunters, bringing national attention to what locals had known for generations. Recently, a door on the third floor has been permanently locked. Staff refused to discuss what prompted this decision. Number 9. On the shores of Seneca Lake stands a castle built from Medina sandstone in the late 19th century. Belhurst Castle has a history marked by tragedy from its very construction. One worker died during the building process. Another went insane. But the castle's most famous ghost is Isabella, the beautiful opera singer who fled Europe with her forbidden lover, a Spanish nobleman known only as Don. They built a house with a secret tunnel leading to the lake shore so they could escape if authorities ever came searching. The authorities did come. Isabella and Don ran for the tunnel. It collapsed, crushing Isabella beneath tons of earth. Her body was never recovered. To this day, the White Lady walks the shores of Seneca Lake, searching for the lover she lost. Guests have seen her standing in the middle of the front lawn at night. Others report an apparition flying through windows. Staff have witnessed bottles and glasses launching themselves across the bar. Tablecloths have been found tied to chandeliers in rooms that were locked overnight. Dick O'Brien served as caretaker until his death in 1972. He was known as a prankster in life. In death, he has not changed. Disembodied laughter echoes through the halls. Harmless pranks occur without explanation. Showers turn on and off in guest rooms where no one stays. In the deepest hours of night, guests report hearing a soft lullaby being sung, and children playing and screaming in the room next door. When they check, the room is always empty. Number 8. At Niagara Falls, the Red Coach Inn has overlooked the Upper Rapids since 1923. Its Tudor-style architecture would feel at home in the English countryside. Honeymooners have flocked here for generations, drawn by the romance of the thundering falls. But one honeymoon ended in horror. According to local accounts, a couple checked into the Victoria Suite deeply in love. By morning, the husband had bludgeoned his bride to death with a candlestick. He then took his own life. Their bodies were discovered by housekeeping staff who had no idea what waited behind that door. The couple never checked out. Guests staying in that suite report jewelry sliding across dressers by itself. Music plays from sources that cannot be located. The temperature drops without warning. Some visitors wake in the middle of the night with the overwhelming sensation that they are not alone. The honeymoon capital of the world holds at least two souls who will spend eternity together, whether they wanted to or not. Number 7. The Wolcott Hotel on West 31st Street in Manhattan opened in 1904. Within these walls, Colonel Jake Ruppert and Colonel Tillinghast Houston purchased the New York Yankees in 1914. Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia held his inaugural ball in the stunning ballroom in 1938. Dancer Isadora Duncan made this her home. So did writers Edith Wharton and Mark Twain. The living have moved on. Others remain. Guests report seeing two young boys in pajamas playing games on the lobby stairwell. They chase each other, laughing, before vanishing into thin air. An elderly man with a cane has been spotted tottering through the hallways late at night. When approached, he simply disappears. The hotel owner, Scott Ehrlich, does not mind having his establishment called haunted. He believes the ghosts add a certain historic charm. The spirits seem content to coexist with the living. They go about their eternal routines, occasionally acknowledging the guests who pass through their home. Number 6. The Bowery Hotel was built in 2002 as part of the Lower East Side's revitalization. But the land beneath it holds memories far older and far darker. During the 19th century, this neighborhood was the most dangerous in America. Gang violence ruled these streets. The Martin Scorsese film, Gangs of New York, depicts this very area. Bodies piled up faster than they could be buried. The New York Marble Cemetery lies directly adjacent to the hotel. Since 1830, prominent New Yorkers have been interred there. Some believe the hotel was built over the cemetery's oldest unmarked graves. Every night at approximately 1 in the morning, the elevators go berserk. They travel between floors on their own. Doors open and close when no one waits. But the most famous resident is the woman in white. This entity has been witnessed by hundreds of staff and guests. She typically approaches visitors and asks for directions, then evaporates into nothing. Others have awakened to find her sitting at the foot of their bed, watching them sleep. One guest had his beer glass knocked over and spilled across his lap. He was sitting completely alone. Number 5. The Jane Hotel on the Hudson River waterfront was built in 1907 to house sailors arriving at the bustling piers. The building's most significant moment came in April 19, 1912. When the RMS Titanic sank in the North Atlantic, over 100 surviving crew members were brought to this building. They were given medical treatment, clothing, and shelter. They had not been paid since the very moment the ship went down. A sympathetic public left monetary donations at the door. On April 19, 1912, surviving crew members gathered in the small assembly hall. They held a memorial service for their lost colleagues. Miss Josephine Upham played the piano while they sang hymns. They cried and prayed and waited for news of additional survivors. No more survivors came. The grief of that day left a permanent imprint on these walls. Guests report seeing transparent figures in the hallways. The sounds of sobbing and grief echo from empty rooms. Unexplained footsteps and whispers drift through the corridors late at night. Cold spots appear where no draft exists. Professional mediums have diagnosed this as a residual haunting. The collective energy of so much sorrow replays in the same spot again and again. The specters seem unaware of the living people around them. Room 343 is considered the most active. Paranormal investigators have documented significant activity there. The Titanic survivors never truly left. They are still mourning, still waiting, still hoping. Number 4. In the small town of Nichols in the Southern Tier, a former railroad hotel from the late 1800s now operates as the Fainting Goat Island Inn. Travelers once stopped here while journeying on the Erie and Lackawanna railroads. This hotel was voted the best haunted hotel in the United States for 2 consecutive years in a national poll. The distinction is well deserved. There are only 5 rooms. Each one has its own unique apparition. In the fainting room, guests are startled awake by the voices and presence of two women who seem engaged in eternal conversation. In another room, a little boy hides under the bed whenever guests arrive. He peers out occasionally, watching before retreating back into the shadows. The guest book reads like a collection of ghost stories. Moving furniture. Footsteps echoing on staircases that no longer exist. Gumballs spilling across the floor of an empty hallway. Sheets pulled off sleeping guests in the middle of the night. A child-sized chair that moves beside beds on its own. Eyes that stare back from mirrors when no one stands before them. Number 3. On Lake George in the Adirondack Mountains, the Sagamore Resort has welcomed guests since 1883. 2 devastating fires damaged the property in 1893 and 1914. But the resort was rebuilt each time. Its ghosts, however, never left. At least 8 distinct spirits inhabit this luxury destination. A former employee claimed the Sagamore was built on Native American burial grounds. The area saw significant conflict between the French, British, and indigenous populations during the 1700s. The most active spirit is a little boy from the early 1950s. He used to chase errant golf balls to sell back to the pro shop. One day, while chasing a ball, he was struck and killed by a car. Today, golfers report balls vanishing from the fairway. Sometimes those balls come flying back at them while a child's laughter echoes across the course. In the restaurant known as Mr. Brown's, a prep cook was working alone when he encountered a tall woman dressed in long white evening attire with flowing sandy blonde hair. She spoke to him. Then she walked toward him. Then she walked through him and vanished. The cook packed his belongings, quit his job, and never returned to the resort. An employee once stepped into an empty elevator and bumped into someone who was not visible. A portly man then materialized beside him. Staff have named this spirit Walter. He was once a regular in the men's parlor where gentlemen smoked and played cards. In the smoke-free environment of today, Walter must be deeply unhappy. Number 2. The Shanley Hotel in Napanoch has been terrifying guests since 1845. It began as Rich's Hotel, a retreat for city vacationers seeking mountain air. A devastating fire reduced it to rubble in 1895. It was rebuilt that same year. In 1906, Irish immigrant James Shanley purchased the property. During his ownership, the hotel became a speakeasy. Eleanor Roosevelt was among its distinguished guests. But those years were marked by profound tragedy. James and Beatrice Shanley lost 3 infant children within these walls. The hotel has embraced its reputation. Now officially called the Haunted Shanley Hotel, they offer private paranormal investigations and maintain evidence in the form of video recordings and electronic voice phenomenon. Rocking chairs move on their own. Clocks chime at random hours. Piano music drifts from rooms where no piano exists. Children laugh in empty hallways. Cold spots and hot spots appear without explanation. The aroma of cooking fills the air when no food is being prepared. Staff have captured audio of spirits arguing with each other. Ghost cats have been documented on video. The Sci-Fi Channel featured this location on both Ghost Hunters and Ghost Lab. Number 1. The Hotel Chelsea on West 23rd Street in Manhattan opened in 1884. It was not a typical hotel. It was built as a socialist commune where artists could live and create together while saving on housing costs. Jimi Hendrix stayed here. Andy Warhol, Bob Dylan. Tennessee Williams, Dylan Thomas. But the Hotel Chelsea is best known for death. In 1908, society girl Almira Wilcox died of an intentional overdose. In 1909, artist Frank Kavecki shot himself after being robbed. In 1912, the hotel housed Titanic survivors. One woman named Mary had escaped the sinking ship. Her husband had not. Days after her rescue, Mary hanged herself on the 5th floor. Mary still walks these halls. She has been spotted at the west end of the hotel, standing beneath an archway, staring into a mirror. She has been watching her own reflection for over a century. Staff have given her a name. They call her the Vain Ghost. In October 1978, Nancy Spungen was found brutally stabbed to death in room 100. Her boyfriend was Sid Vicious, bassist of the Sex Pistols. He was arrested and charged with her murder. Before the case went to trial, Vicious died of a heroin overdose. Nancy has been seen in the hotel ever since. Guests report watching her fix her makeup in bathroom mirrors before dissolving into nothing. Michael Imperioli of The Sopranos was staying at the Chelsea when he encountered Mary. He saw her hunched over crying at the end of a hallway. He called out asking if she was okay. Behind him, a light bulb exploded. The hallway plunged into darkness. When the emergency lights flickered on, Mary had vanished. And to this day, Mary still stands at that mirror, waiting, watching. Perhaps still hoping her husband will walk through the door. He never will.